Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I am your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and welcome to our program today. Now, I hope you've been with us for a long time because I hope you know that what we do on our show is that we take one individual film and me and my special guest kind of have a conversation about it, which means that we kind of critique, analyze, we have a lot of fun with the movie that we're talking about. And I say fun because the movie we're doing today is going to be fun. At least I hope it's going to be fun for you and for us discussing the film. And to talk about the film, before I get to the title, to talk about the film with me today, I have a special guest, Mr. Philip Bray. I want to thank you for joining me, Philip Bray.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We are glad to have him back on the program today because the film that we are discussing today is the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is celebrating its, I think, 50th anniversary. I think it's 50th.
Yep, it's 50.
50th anniversary. And I know a lot of you out there are saying, what? We're talking about this musical on Conversations in Horror? Yeah, damn right we are, because there's a lot of mixture of horror in this Frankenstein-esque.
I mean, horror's in the title.
Yeah. It's all in there. Now, before I get to my opinions on this, first of all, I have to know, Philip, exactly when you first encountered the film. What was your impressions? You have to tell us that first.
Okay, so I am on the younger side. I'm in my early 30s. So obviously I wasn't alive when Rocky Horror came out in theaters. So for me, I was first introduced to the movie itself in high school. I had a friend who was obsessed with all types of things, and Rocky Horror being one of them. And so we had a movie night one night, and they introduced me to Rocky Horror Picture Show. And then I was introduced to the more famous version of what you would say Rocky Horror Picture Show, with the live performance shadow crew of it. My college does every year in October. They do the shadow crew like version of Rocky Horror Picture Show every year. So I have been so when I was going to college, I was a part of that, of like behind the scenes. I even auditioned to try to be in it. I was not successfully casted in it, but I did audition for it and stuff. So I am well versed in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
So I'm gonna preface this, everyone out here, because it'll be a funny story when you hear the whole thing. So I saw this when I'm not old enough to have seen this movie when it came out either. So I did not watch this until someone told me that I should watch it. And everyone who knows me on this program knows that I have never been the biggest of musical fans. And there have been only two musicals in my entire young adult life in which I god awfully hated. One of them was Grease, which I still hate, and the other was Rocky Horror Picture Show. I hated this movie, like hated it when I first saw it. I didn't get it. I didn't like musicals. I didn't get it. I know I didn't get it because the only time, how I came to be the person I am today, which I can enjoy the film now, is like you, Philip. I watched the film with a live audience, performing in front of it at, I forget was it Ponce de Leon Theater here in Georgia. They used to do it like every once a weekend for the longest time. And one of my actor friends, played Frankenfurter in this production. I didn't know he played that. I went to go see it with my girlfriend at the time, who dressed up like Magenta. And I'm like, God, why am I seeing this movie? I hate this movie. I hate this. Why am I? But I was dating someone at the time who loved this movie so much that she dressed up like Magenta. And we went to go see it at midnight. And I must have had the most fun I've had watching a movie because the entire fucking audience was into this. This was like a tradition. They were over half the audience was dressed up. They were interacting with the actors who were interacting with the projection behind them. And dude, I finally got the movie. I didn't get the movie when I was younger because I just wasn't in that mindset. I got the movie when people were performing it, and the audience was so into its execution. I was like, oh my god, it's like a light clicking off. I get it. And then, of course, that impression. I didn't want to ruin that impression because that impression stayed with me with the fact that this is one of those rare films where both the people performing and the movie itself and the people in the audience all get it. And it's a different type of experience when you see the film like that. I've never seen the film since then. I still remember that like you had people going up and down the aisles with the candy, selling the candy and popcorn, dressed up like Magenta and Columbia. It was so freaking amazing. I didn't want to ruin that, so I never saw it again until now. This time for the show, I watched it without all that extravaganza. I still had a lot of fun with the movie. I can appreciate it now, and I still love fucking Tim Curry. I don't care what anyone. Fucking Tim Curry can't do no wrong to me. I always, even though I hated this movie, I always said, yeah, you know that Tim Curry guy, that motherfucker did some good shit in that movie. I hate the fucking movie, but he did some good shit. I'm now thinking, damn, Tim Curry, fucking, you can't do wrong in nothing. And that's all.
The fun thing with this movie was this was Tim Curry's debut.
Though, you know what? I did not know that. I did not know that.
This was Tim Curry's debut. This was his first movie. After he had done a little bit of acting, kinda, but no, this was his big film debut, and damn, did he do a good job with it. Now it's funny you talking about not liking it when you first saw it, then liking with the live play. I had a similar, like, I didn't hate it when I first watched it. I was like, okay, that was the thing. And then I saw the live version of it, and I was like, I see. There's more to it. So I have an interesting opinion about this movie.
Okay.
And it's probably going to give me a lot of hate for people. I think by itself, Rocky Horror Picture Show is it's not that good of a movie. I do not think I think anyone who likes Rocky Horror Picture Show, if you said watch it by yourself alone, not intoxicated, no drugs or anything, you watch it by itself, I think they will probably be like, oh, like, I still like it, but I'm not in love with it. I think this movie is funny because if I'm sure you remember, Kevin, for our listeners, if you haven't listened to, watch Repo the Genetic Opera's episode, because in that episode I mentioned how that movie would have been a lot more successful if it was a Rocky Horror Picture Show like thing. That is basically how it would have fully embraced its cult following. And I think this movie, and again, that's how this movie is. That's how Rocky Horror Picture Show is. Because when it first came out, it was not well received. It wasn't until people started to basically unintentionally start talking to it and started creating the idea of this shadow crew and talking back, that we would see later with other things. I'm forgetting the most famous one right now, where the guys talk to the movie while it's playing and make commentary. What is that called?
Were you trying to find the actual term for it, or
yeah, the most famous one.
Mystery Science 3000?
Yes, thank you. Mystery Science 3000. I think that this Rocky Horror was was first with that idea of talking to the movie and looking at a movie that is pretty pretty schlocky and stuff, and making fun the fact that it's schlocky, and that makes it more enjoyable because of being able to have that rifting with the movie itself. And I think that's why this movie is so well iconic and so successful. But because of that, I think that is. But the movie itself, if you are alone and watch this movie, you will probably notice, okay, like, again, how both our first time reactions watched this movie was without the big pageantry and stuff. We were like, oh, okay, this was okay. And then again, seeing and how it really is where it evolved. That is when it really clicked of that's how this should be presented.
Excuse me. I think like I think filmic and cinematography wise, it's a very limited film. I think I have no doubts about that. I think this movie is part of the reason why it is so well loved. And you got to remember, this was originally a stage play. I think the Rocky Horror Show,
Yeah,
or
the show was produced a year before the movie.
Yeah. So it was originally a show, and the show still plays. I actually tried to go see it. Someone here in Georgia did it a few years back, and I was going to try and see it then. But the thing is that it's one of those, it's so odd and weird and designed to be campy from the moment it opens, that it was always going to appeal to a very limited audience originally. Yeah. It just so happens to have several actors who went on to do major shit, like Tim Curry, Susan Sarandon, Barry Bostwick, and of course Meatloaf, who I forgot was in the movie until I rewatched this. Oh yeah, I forgot Meatloaf's in there. He's so fucking young as Eddie. But the thing is, like, musicals never made an effect on me. Never. Even now, when I watch a musical, I'm usually watching it for the cinematography and lighting, and every once in a while they'll have one where the story actually makes sense, or to me, or some aspect like that. It's very few. Like, I probably count on my two hands the number of musicals that I actually enjoy overall. Now with Rocky Horror Picture Show, it's kind of like, you're right. There's a different level of enjoyment when it's in front of a live audience, when the audience is really into it, than watching it at home by yourself. Like, I got that when I watched it. When I rewatched it by myself, I was like seeing the flaws and the age. I guess the age I especially saw on the film. I have not seen the recent redo of this movie with Laverne Cox, I believe, who did the live version that they recorded. I have not seen that version yet, so I don't know what they've changed to modernize it.
So, and that's another reason why, again, I think this story, this media only works well in a live version, because basically, like everyone, the recent version of it, I think they call it like Time Hops Again, was not good, and it was really well panned by everyone and stuff, because again, it was a live TV. So again, unless you brought a bunch of friends over and we're drinking and we're talking to the screen again, you're not getting that kind of back and forth that made Rocky Horror so well. And I think Rocky Horror also does so well at the time too, because it's kind of a time capsule situation too. Oh. It's one of those things of, again, you can't really do it again today. Like, again, they tried.
Not like that. You'd have to change it, which is why I'm curious to see how the modern day one did.
I mean, they basically just did the same story over again. Like, they really didn't change the story at all.
They just did they make it like a period story, or like of that time period, or did they make it like present day?
They did the same time period. So
yeah.
So again, they didn't really change anything, and so it's fundamentally the same thing. But yeah, again, it's because it was done. It's just not as, again, it's a time capsule movie that's like, you really can't replicate all of that stuff. You can't replicate the cast. You can't replicate the way the story is written. It is a story that if they try to write that today, they would go through a billion rewrites, because they couldn't do a 1-for-1 now, because there are certain things there that, again, is very progressive today. It's very funny how progressive it is, with a lot of the sexual identification and a lot about sexual liberty and stuff, that for 1970s was very out there and stuff, and definitely not like a big thing that it's probably another reason why so many people now identify with it a lot more because now that is more relevant to today, which is funny because you couldn't write it like that today.
No, it would definitely have some changes from when it was back then. But I think two things really make it for the make the movie. I think one of them is the was Tim Curry, of course, and we can talk about Tim Curry a little bit more. But the main one I think is the songs are actually pretty good.
Yeah, no, the songs are very catchy
as shit.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie itself without the live performances twice, maybe three times if I was drunk one of the times and I barely remember it. But I remember most of the fucking songs. When I was rewatching it again, I was like, oh yeah, fuck it. These songs are stuck in my head. It's like Grease. I know the songs fucking Grease, and I've only seen the movie twice in my entire life. I've seen the movie twice. I hated the movie both times, and I've never bothered to watch it within the last 30 years to give it another chance. I should. I most definitely should because it's considered a classic musical film, and I never saw it when I was a kid, and I just thought it was horrible. I probably need to watch it, but it's a product of its time. Like people still tell me how great Grease is, and I'm like, dude, that's got to be a product of its time, dude. It's got it. But if they could remake fucking West Side Story, I'm sure they could fucking remake Grease and Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Rocky Horror is again they kind of tried and it failed. Honestly, Grease. I think Grease. I'm honestly surprised they haven't tried to yet.
You know what's funny is I heard nothing, absolutely nothing about the Laverne Cox version, and I own it. It's sitting on my shelf. I have not watched it yet because for me, the whole Rocky Horror Picture Show you have to be in the mood for that. That's like not something you just stick in your fucking VHS. I mean, I say VHS. Holy shit! I can't believe I just said VHS. Your DVD player or your streaming service, and just say, "I'm going to sit down and watch Rocky Horror Picture Show." I think you're saying is like for me the way I enjoyed it the most, and the only way that the movie's ideal for me had changed is seeing it live with people who get it.
Yeah, there's not anyone like I think all the listeners here. There's maybe one person who may say that'll be me, but when someone says I want to watch Rocky Horror Picture Show, they want to see it with people. They're going to be like, I want to see a Rocky Horror Picture Show. Let me call a bunch of my friends. Let's get drunk. Let's watch the movie, or get high and watch the movie. Like you're not going to be. It's Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's not. It is a crowd movie. It is not a movie you want to see by yourself at 8 p.m. at night because you're bored. No, you're going to see that movie with other people, or you're going to go out and see a live version of it.
At midnight, by the way.
At midnight.
You have to go see the midnight screening.
You're going to see the midnight screening. You're not going to see it by itself, which, again, is not... if there are people that, and so that's why there are some people that may not like Rocky Horror Picture Show, and you probably can be like, well, how'd you watch it? And they'll probably say, I saw it by myself, or I saw it with, because that's the other thing too, is if you watch it one or two people and they're not like rowdy with it, they're all just quiet. Again, you're basically watching it by yourself.
Yeah.
At that point. It is, you watch it with a rowdy crowd, either at home or live, and then you'll enjoy the movie.
Or you watch it with someone who can appreciate Tim Curry. Yes. I think if you're watching it, and it's he's had his kind of his own health issues lately, so he's not been in films as much as he used to. But there are certain films that he's extremely iconic for, and I'm not going to say it, even though I just said Stephen King's It as Pennywise the Clown, but he's really iconic in this film and in Clue the movie. And Clue the movie was the first movie I ever recognized him in. And I must have saw Clue as a kid a billion times, which is one of the reasons why I saw this movie when I was a kid, because I was like, I had to watch this other movie that had Tim Curry in it. I was like, fuck, Tim Curry, I love him in fucking Clue. Seen Clue a billion times. So I had to watch this movie. And my jaw dropped to the ground how much I hated this movie originally. I was like, this isn't this it's the same guy, but not the same guy, because the performances are so different. The characters, not performances, because there's a lot of mannerisms that he repeats in both characters. But the character Frankenfurter is so far removed when I was a kid from what I was used to. Like I don't even know how I saw this movie as a kid, and my parents didn't go crazy with me when I saw this movie as a kid. Uh, but I did grow up with two sisters who loved musicals, so that could have been it as well.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny too. I mean, everything with Frankenfurter. Again, originally when Tim Curry was like auditioning and like was going to be the character and stuff, he was originally going to have an accent. He was going to be like he was going to have a
And Magenta's Transylvania
yeah.
type of accent.
He was going to have like a Transylvania like accent, but then decided not to because he German. Yeah, he was going to have a German accent, and he ended up not after hearing a woman on a bus talking very like English accent type, and he was like, you know what, I'm going to do it that way, which is good actually because I think it would be a different movie if he had a German accent the entire time. Um, but because that's one I will say one thing about the movie. Sometimes Riff Raff and Magenta with their accents, I can't understand a word they say sometimes, which is funny because I think in some live versions I've seen of that, they make fun of the fact that like, what did you say? And so sometimes you can't understand them. So it's good that Tim Curry decided not to do an accent because if he didn't do a clear accent, half your cast is going to be like, I don't understand half the words you're saying.
Especially considering he has so much dialogue, and once he's introduced, he so has so much dialogue.
Yeah.
And you're right. You know, he has some of the there. Actually, I won't say he has some of the best songs because there's some great songs in this movie. I which is funny for me to say because I really don't care much for when I say I don't care much for musicals. Half the time means I'm not paying attention to the songs enough to care about the musicals. But for this film, I actually know most of the songs. I remember most of the songs because they're so fucking catchy. Uh, are
Oh
you
yeah.
a musical fan? I didn't ask you that, Philip. Are you a musical fan?
Oh, I'm a musical fan. So, I mean,
Okay.
I'm an actor. I was an actor. I've done. Yeah, no, I love musicals. There is, uh, and the thing with musicals is like, there's two ways with musicals of, oh, I'm gonna just sing whatever. There's the I'm gonna sing my emotions out, and then there's a we're just gonna have like catchy songs have catchy songs. This is more of the catchy songs. I mean, occasionally they do portray their emotions and stuff, um, but no, like again, this is pretty catchy. And the thing is, like for me too, is like, and once you see, I would definitely say any listeners who have not watched Rocky Horror yet, definitely see the live too, because I'm not sure about you, Kevin, but for me, some of the live commentary I can remember verbatim watching Rocky Horror. Like I remember some of the common jokes they would make and stuff.
No, I love that. I loved a lot of the jokes there. But when we were saying about the catchy music, I can think of only two other musicals in which I had the music is more in my head than any other than the actual musicals themselves. And one of them is Mamma Mia, and the other one is Rent. Now, Rent is the other was is one of the more modern film musicals I hate. Like I hate that fucking story. But the fucking songs are amazing. Like I love listening to the songs. They're so fucking catchy. They're so great. The songs themselves. I hate the story of Rent. Mamma Mia, I just love because of the music. That's so catchy. I don't remember the plot half the time. I just like the fucking songs. And I shouldn't like either one of those. I really shouldn't like either one of them.
Yeah. And another thing too to talk about, you may or may not know this, but then again, this kind of goes into my opinion of Rocky Horror of like, again, it's not really something you can't really duplicate it is there is a sequel to Rocky Horror
Yes.
and it is not well regarded at all called Shock Treatment. And
I,
again, that's one of those again, it tried to it's uh Janet and Brad, it's different actors this time, but the idea is that it's supposed to be a sequel. And again, it's not really that good. They took away some of the musical aspects of it. Uh, and then again, it just did not work well because again, you can't really, it was a very obviously lightning in a bottle that un you can't undo again.
Well, yeah, and they're missing Tim Curry. I think I honestly believe that the two things about Rocky Horror that people love is Tim Curry and the music. I
Yeah.
think and shock treatment, and I like shit. I can't even think of her name. The main actress who's in that, I can't think of her name. She's fucking phenomenal.
It's Jessica Harper.
Yeah, Jessica Harper, who's in Suspiria, Dario Argento's Suspiria, which I loved her in. She's such a phenomenal actress, but that film itself doesn't have the things that made Rocky Horror so memorable, and people have forgotten it. Like it's a shame, but you're right. It's lightning in the bottle. I mean, Rocky Horror wasn't successful when it came out. It became a midnight movie with people performing it live, and it grew into a world of its own. Like you could there's everywhere across the nation and other countries people perform this at midnight as special occasions, or like they used to do at Ponce de Leon. I can't remember the fucking theater, but they used to do it every weekend. If the actors were available to do it every weekend on that Friday, I think a Friday or Saturday night at midnight. I doubt they do it now. I mean, fuck, COVID destroyed a lot of shit, and I guarantee you, if it wasn't COVID to stop them from doing that every freaking week, it just audiences don't see it nearly as much.
Yeah, but it's that's the thing with it is that it's you can't really duplicate it. You can't really duplicate it. But again, it's very funny how very relevant to a lot stuff today about sexual identity and stuff there's a cult following for especially nowadays because so much of that is now relevant today with some of that stuff.
And you mentioned Repo the Genetic Opera, and they tried to do that with that. And Darren Lynn Bousman, who directed that, tried to do that when they traveled with the movie for a while, and then they traveled with the Devil's Carnival, which is his. It's like a sequel, like he tried to do the same thing he did with Repo. Repo did have a couple midnight screenings. It just didn't catch on like Rocky Horror. And I don't know if anyone actually still does the Repo ones. It just has that. It didn't click like Rocky Horror. Devil's Carnival definitely did not. That fucking thing traveled and then disappeared off the face of the planet, which is unfortunate because that was supposed to be a 3-part film like this. Like there's an audience for these type of movies. Rocky Horror, Repo the Genetic Opera, Devil's Carnival. They're the darker stories with different types of aspects, sexuality, sexual identity, those type of things that are, I would say, still a little risque, even though we're a much more open society now. They're still a little risque. But this film did it 50 fucking years ago. Yeah. This was before anyone was even thinking about it on the mainstream. Like, this wasn't mainstream at all back then. Yet this movie was made and had a theatrical release, and is now a cult film that you could literally find probably in every city across America at some point. They probably do a midnight screening at some point as a yearly thing, if not weekly.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's a thing too of, so it's, I don't know. The other thing with this movie too and stuff, and it's kind of funny, because a lot of it's kind of a commentary of the old Hammerstone like horror movies and stuff, which is funny how audience, like young people today, still like Rocky Horror and stuff. And again, I think a lot of that has to do with the Tim Curry and his sexualization, because I know there was a lot of stuff when I watched it, like RKO. I don't know what the heck RKO was. RKO Pictures. Didn't know what that was. Again, I had not watched a lot of those old Hammerstone Universal movies and stuff. So a lot of like the references with, again, Rocky being a being Frankenstein and stuff, like
Frankenstein's monster.
yeah, Frankenstein monster stuff. It's like I knew differently about Frankenstein monster, but a lot of the stuff, even the beginning, the first song, the science fiction double feature, talking all about that. None of that connected to me at like when I watched it as a kid,
Well,
or when
so
I was watching younger and stuff.
you bring up a good point because when I rewatched it without being live, I picked up on a lot of these subtle things that I didn't know. I wasn't paying attention because there was people riffing on it as it was going on. But like the whole opening is the old dark house syndrome, where you have these people in a car whose car breaks down in the middle of nowhere, and they find their way into a dark castle where they're trying to find a way out, but these people or other people get in their way. The RKO thing, I don't recall if I remembered that or not. I definitely picked up on it this time because I know what RKO is, and I've seen lots of old school RKO movies, and of course, Rocky being Frankenstein's monster was a given, but I didn't know that Magenta eventually has her hair done like Bride of Frankenstein. Like I didn't see that. I thought that was kind of funny, exactly. And then of course there are a lot of these subtle things in the background because you have the picture of Mona Lisa in the background of one scene. It was like they did a lot of little details like that when you rewatch the film and you're paying attention, you see them. Like when you're watching it live, I will say this: when you're watching it live, you're not paying attention to the details in this movie at all. You're paying attention to the spectacle. So the two times I had seen this movie before, the time when I hated it, so I definitely wasn't paying attention to details, and the time when I saw it with a live audience, when I'm too busy watching the spectacle, I picked up on the details this time watching it. As a filmmaker, that's kind of cool for me to see that. Some of the cinematography for like when the RKO, that whole end sequence with the RKO thing, and Frankenfurter when he's revealed behind the curtain for the first time, and then you see him fall into the water, and that whole above the pool shots and all that type of stuff is really cool. It's stuff that you would see in a Hollywood musical back in those RKO days. That's the thing I started to pick up when I rewatched the film without the live audience. I thought they're very clever. These are people who actually liked the old time filmmaking, and they try to implement some of that stuff in this film. The dance sequence. Let's do the time warp. The time warp. I don't know the actual titles to these songs. I just remember the catchy words. Let's do the.
Yeah, you're correct. It's
that the way they film that is like they're training the audience how to do the actual dance steps. Like, dude, you wouldn't see that in the musical nowadays, but that was something back then. That these are new dances. We're creating new shit. We need to teach you how to do it so you can go out there and do it. I actually found those type of details really cool. So,
oh yeah, no, it's definitely yeah, it's funny because and a lot of people watching Rocky Horror probably never even, I know, like I watched it, a lot of the sci-fi stuff and all that. I was like, it was just weird for weird sake. I never thought about it being like, oh, this is kind of like parodying these, or it's a reference to this and stuff. Uh, and it's funny that like the spectacle and the music has kind of absorbed the rest of the original intent of the movie to a point, but it still doesn't like harp it for an audience member and stuff. It's just if they, like you said, if they actually like sit down and really pay attention and they know a little bit more, it's like you said with Magenta changes her hairstyle to be Bride of Frankenstein and all that stuff. That's stuff that could be rewarding if you pay attention to it. But again, you can completely ignore all of that stuff and still enjoy this movie with a group because of the spectacle of it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's one of the things I'm afraid of watching an old movie like Grease. I was like, I think the only way I'd enjoy that is if I was watching it as a spectacle movie with an audience full of people who actually could appreciate it. So, because I sure the fuck can. But for me, it's a little easier because this film has elements in it that appeal to me. The Frankenstein story is one I absolutely love, and it's very familiar to us sci-fi and horror fans. And even though I think this only has one real death in it, which is when Eddie gets killed. But other than that, this is a pretty bloodless affair movie. Like it's the context for what's in the movie, because it's using the sci-fi and horror aspects than more as any song or anything else in this movie. But it is a movie that has appealed to a wide genre of audience members, which is why we're talking about it. You can't if you ask horror fans anywhere and you ask them for what's a horror musical that you can recommend to me, they're going to mention the two they're going to mention is fucking Rocky Horror Picture Show and Sweeney Todd. Like those are the two that they're going to mention. There's some other ones out there, don't get me wrong, but they'll probably say Phantom of the Opera next. But Rocky Horror Picture Show I mean, like that's going to be at the top of most people's list, despite the fact it has very little horror elements in it.
Oh yeah.
So, I Tim Curry. We haven't talked about Tim Curry enough. No, we.
It's funny with Tim Curry with this too, because it was such a breakout role that it kind of freaked him out a bit that he because again, you think of Tim Curry, like you see a lot of movies Tim Curry's in when he's older and stuff, and he's a little more full out versus this where he was very young and very skinny, and that apparently was a thing because after this movie he was so freaked out about the fans for this, like once it started getting big, that he purposely got fat to try to become unappealing to fans of the movie.
That's an interesting story. Okay. No, I was never part of that whole world because I didn't realize there was a world for this movie till I got much older. Not even when I was in college did I realize that there was a world outside of for this movie. Like I said, I kind of dismissed this movie for the longest time, and then of course I took a day to the midnight screening and I was like, holy shit, this movie's crazy. So picture this, everyone. So if you really hate musicals and you really hate this musical in Ideal, and you decide that because your significant other decides that she absolutely loves this movie and would love to go to a midnight screening, and you kind of surprise her by, yeah, honey, we're gonna go in this date to go see this movie, and then you show up and she's dressed up like Magenta, and then it clicks to you how much of a cult audience it is because you're not really. I was not expecting her to do that. I just kind of showed up and she was dressed like Magenta, and I'm like, who the fuck is Magenta? Because I couldn't remember any of the characters' name. I hated the movie. Who the heck did I remember anything? But when you see people performing this, the performers are performing and talking back to the movie as the movie's going on. They are 150% engaged in what they are doing, which makes you 150% engaged as an audience member. And then you see the audience members also engaged 150%. They're dressed up. They're interacting. They're interacting with the actors because the actors are constantly coming into the audience to talk to the freaking people out there. And like it's like no other experience watching a live theater performance. Now, the closest I get to that is having watched the Evil Dead musical live several times just so that they could spray me with blood because I was in the front rows. I love that reaction of people when they get sprayed with blood. Love it. And they better never ever make that into a movie. There's no way that movie, that live show will ever work in the movie. I don't care what anyone says. It is a live experience, Evil Dead the musical. And just as campy. All right. Do you have anything else to say about Tim Curry in this film?
Not really. I mean, again, he does it. Like he really is. Again, it is Tim Curry's movie.
Yes.
The movie would not be as strong if another actor was put in this, and it definitely. Again, I love Tim Curry and everything he's in, and this put him on the map. And again, I'm very thankful for that because again, Tim Curry's awesome. I do hate all the health complications he's had and stuff, so he's not really able to act anymore. But everything he was in, again, just such a recognizable voice and such Again, such a good actor.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get around to some of the other movies he did, like Stephen King's It, and of course Legend. The guy is just phenomenal in everything he does. All right, so I gotta talk. We have to say something about Susan Sarandon because I keep forgetting she's in this fucking movie. Because until I watch the movie, I keep forgetting that she's in the movie. I was like, oh shit, I forgot Susan Sarandon's in this fucking movie. Like this was before she became, huge, and of course did Thelma and Louise among other great performances. And it's so funny because I keep wondering. When I watched it again, I keep wondering, did she sing this, or is this someone else doing her voice? I was not 100%. I didn't look it up. I haven't time to look it up. I'm hoping it's her, but it's so it's like could be her, but it could be her. It's not like Tim Curry. That's obviously fucking Tim Curry singing that shit. But with her, it was like I wasn't sure. But it was weird seeing her in this type of role because I can't picture her in another film like this in her career. Now, I'm sure there probably is one out there, but I can't picture it. Like this just seems so far off the rail.
Oh, well, it's funny because she originally did not audition for this. It was an accidental thing because she came on set to say hi to Tim Curry, and and at the time everyone who auditioned for the role of Janet were good singers, but they didn't really like the acting parts, and so they asked Susan, "Hey, can you hey, would you be willing to audition stuff?" And she's like, "Well, I can't really sing." They're like, "That's fine. Just say happy birthday and stuff." And again, they loved her audition, and so they ended up casting her. But she had not planned to be in the movie originally. It was this circumstances with that.
Do you know if she actually sang the songs?
She did.
Oh, she didn't?
She did. She did sing the song.
She did? Okay. See, I couldn't really tell. Like sometimes it sounded like her, and then sometimes it didn't. And you know how that is sometimes. They dub fuckers back then in the musicals, so you could never tell. And so and I only noticed this recent time watching it. Like I would have never noticed the first two times. I just noticed this time because I was paying attention to all the details of the movie. So, but I had to talk about Susan because, I think she's one of those actresses that's done so many great movies in her career. So many great movies, like Tim Curry. And she's in this movie, which is the oddest movie for her to be in. Barry Bostwick, I could go. I could see him in this movie. Meatloaf, I can see in this movie.
Well, it's funny. The actor who played Rocky Horror, Peter Hinwood, this was his one and only thing. He did this, and then was like, "Yeah, I'm not a good actor." And then now he's an antique dealer.
But I'm sure he's getting those residual checks.
Oh yeah, but yeah, he was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm not going to act anymore."
I can't blame him. That's more like me. I did my couple of films myself as an actor and said, you know what? I'm gonna leave this to the professionals. Unfortunately for me, none of my films are going to be remembered 50 years from now and me getting residual checks on them. Oh shit! All right, so Philip, is there anyone else you'd like to highlight from the film?
Not really. Another fun fact here I didn't know was the actor who played Riff Raft is the writer of Rocky Horror.
Yep.
Yeah, I did not know that originally until doing research and stuff. He originally wanted to be Frankenfurter, but the director thought that he would be a better Riff Raff and ended up choosing him for that. But it did cause him to be a little resentful toward Tim Curry for a while.
I bet. But didn't he also write Shock Treatment as well?
He did.
Yeah. I was trying to remember because I saw Shock Treatment right before COVID. I finally found a copy of it and I picked it up because I read about it for years, but I never saw it. You have those films like that. It's a musical, and it's like this is gonna be on the very, very bottom of my list to get around to. And so I finally saw it. You're right; it's not memorable. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not memorable. especially coming on after fucking Rocky Horror Picture Show. So
Yeah.
would have been better if they just had no connection whatsoever. Just none. So any other elements about the film that you would like to talk about?
Not really.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. So I'm glad you're a musical fan, Philip. Theater has put you into that mindset, and that's the difference between me, everyone, and Philip. I don't have that kind of refined background in theater, that appreciation for the musicals. I've only recently seen a live musicals, so I can understand that whole genre. It is the only genre that I am not really versed in as a filmmaker, film critique, analysis kind of guy. So it's always good to discuss these type of movies. And like we did an episode of Repo the Genetic Opera, and we've done this one. And I'm sure one day we'll do Sweeney Todd, Among Family Opera, and some of the other well-known ones. We'll get around to those. So if you have names of musicals that we should definitely check out, you should definitely tell us those. But I would like to leave everyone with these kind of thoughts, is that musicals can encompass mostly any type of genre. And as horror fans, we should embrace some of the more interesting aspects of these type of films that show up. I know it's easy to say Family Opera and Rocky Horror Picture or Repo the Genetic Opera are automatically because some horror fan type stuff, Sweeney Todd, and this one's a little outside the box. But that's what makes this movie special. Whether you see it live or not, if you're a film lover, a film connoisseur is probably a better word, you'll pick up on a lot of different elements like the RKO and the stuff that the filmmakers put in this movie to showcase that they are huge fans of the genre. They do this for a reason, because there are people out there who we like normal films, but then we need to explore and see other stuff out there. And what better way to do that than to check out a musical, So with that, what we like to do at the end of our program is we like to rate the movies, like 1 star to 5 star. 1 star being poor, 5 stars being amazing. Where on the spectrum, Philip, do you put the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
This I'm gonna have to do it in 2 ways. I'm gonna have to review it live and by yourself. Live, it's if you haven't done it, it is a 5 out of 5 for live experience, because it's something that, again, if you haven't done it, do it. It is definitely something you should do at least once in your life. See it live.
Mm-hmm.
Or just as a movie itself, it's kind of a 3.
Okay, so and for everyone listening, I'm actually going to do what Philip did, which is do both versions, because I do implore people, if you want to see this movie, you should definitely see it live. A midnight screening with an audience who can appreciate everything that you're watching. Definitely see it live. Like, find out when it's doing. If some place is doing it live, and definitely go check it out. And if you don't, if it's not at your town all the time like it was here in downtown Atlanta, then you definitely need to check it out live whenever they do it, because it is truly one of the more enjoyable theater experiences that I've ever had. That being said, I've only seen the movie twice as a regular movie. I do enjoy the movie now, but because I don't watch musicals, I probably won't see this movie again, like by itself, not live, in another 20 years. So I'm gonna give the film a 3 as well for that aspect. It's a decent musical. It's not Grease, which I would give half a star right now. I'd give it half a star until I rewatch it. It's not that. So that's has a lot going for it. But I do think that for the most part, watching it by yourself, it is a film for an acquired taste. Whereas watching it live, I believe anyone can enjoy it watching it live. That is a big difference that I see with this film. So With that, Philip, I want to thank you for discussing this film with me on its 50th anniversary. We want to celebrate its 50th anniversary, which is another reason to go out there and watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So you should definitely be able to find some live screening somewhere to celebrate its 50th anniversary. From all of us here at Something Wicked Entertainment, I hope you will go out there and find other episodes of our show on your favorite podcast apps, Spotify or YouTube. We've done a ton of episodes on different movies out there, and we've already mentioned some of them, like Repo the Genetic Opera. Check it out. We love to talk about these types of things, and we hope that you enjoy listening to us talk about them. That being said, when you watch the show, make sure to leave comments. Leave us comments on the type of movies that you would love for us to discuss, and we'll discuss them. We're always looking for new movies to talk about on our show, especially if they're big films having some big anniversaries like this one is. Make sure to also check out our sister podcast, Conversations in 4Color, which delves deep into comic books, manga, and graphic novels. That is on our Patreon exclusive page, so you have to be a follower or subscriber to actually access that podcast. But we have plenty of episodes on that as well, so make sure to check that out. From all of us here at Something Wicked Entertainment, we want to hope that you have a pleasant day, and we can't wait to bring you another great episode of the show. Have a great day. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers, executive producer Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.